You're watching Behind the Screens. Grab some popcorn, fill up a drink, and take a seat. Our feature presentation is about to begin.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you may be listening. Welcome back to another brand new episode of Behind the Screens. I'm Chris Jason, and joined as always is my co-host and best friend, Mike Lakewood. Mike, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing very well tonight, Chris, and I want to thank our audience once again for tuning in to Behind the Screens, Episode 10.
Wow, 10 episodes already?
I know, it seems like just yesterday we came up with this great idea to have this amazing long conversations talking into a microphone in an empty room, and now here we are.
Yeah, so today's subject is a little interesting because this is the first sequel we'll be talking about on the podcast.
Official sequel to movies, my friend, as we dedicated ourselves to talking about the big movie franchises before eventually branching out into other genres of film. We'll be looking at a direct sequel tonight instead of a sort of sequel for the cinematic universes. Today we'll be looking at Bryan Singer's 2003 superhero epic X2 X-Men United.
Honestly, before we start, that name is honestly really clever. They didn't just call it X-Men 2, they just went X2. And
yeah,
that works.
It's very early 2000s.
But surprisingly, it works.
It's extreme. That's what it is.
Yeah, so considering this is a sequel of the film, we won't talk about too much of it, but we'll still go through the general thing, our general thoughts, and how it compares to the first film.
Very much so. We won't be gushing about the characters as much as we do in the first installment because you guys can simply go back and watch that episode. But if we have any new thoughts that we felt we skipped over in the previous episode, we'll be sure to reiterate them because we like tradition around here. We like to keep things simple, sweet, to the point, but also like to spread a positive message at the very end.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, we will be getting into the plot summary. We'll be talking about the film's box office growth, the cast, the accolades, our personal feelings and gripes with it, all the way through to the very end.
Oh yeah.
All right, so without further ado, my friends, let us get into the discussion about the plot of 2003's X2 X-Men United. At the White House, brainwashed, teleporting mutant Nightcrawler attacks the President of the United States. He is shot and retreats. Meanwhile, Logan explores an abandoned military installation at Alkali Lake in Alberta for clues about his past, but finds nothing. Jean Grey has been having premonitions and struggles to concentrate as her powers become increasingly difficult to control. Later on, Logan returns to Professor X's school for mutants, and Professor X tracks Nightcrawler using Cerebro. Xavier and Cyclops go to question the imprisoned Magneto about the attack, while X-Men Storm and Jean Grey retrieve Nightcrawler. Military scientist Colonel William Stryker approaches the president and receives approval to investigate Xavier's mansion for their ties to mutants in the wake of the recent attack. Stryker's forces invade the school and abduct some of the students. Colossus leads the remaining students to safety while Logan, Rogue, Iceman, and Pyro escape, and Stryker's assistant, Yuriko Yamana, I might be butchering that name, I apologize, captures Cyclops and Xavier. During the attack, Logan confronts Stryker, who addresses him as Wolverine and seems to know about his past. The shape-shifting Mystique gains information about Magneto's prison and helps him escape while also discovering schematics for a second Cerebro. Logan, Rogue, Iceman, and Pyro visit Iceman's parents and brother in Boston and meet up with Storm, Jean, and Nightcrawler. The X-Jet is attacked by fighter jets while flying back to the mansion and is shot down. Magneto saves them from crashing, however. Magneto explains to the group that Stryker has built the second Cerebro to use it and Xavier to telepathically kill every mutant on the planet. Stryker's son Jason is a mutant with mind-controlling powers, whom Stryker will use to force Xavier to do this. Stryker had also previously used Jason's powers to orchestrate Nightcrawler's attack as a pretense to gain approval to invade Xavier's mansion in the first place. Magneto tells Wolverine that Stryker has that Stryker was the man who grafted his adamantium skeleton onto his bones and is responsible for his amnesia. Jean reads Nightcrawler's mind and determines that Stryker's base is underground in a dam at Alkali Lake. Disguised as Logan, Mystique infiltrates Stryker's base. She lets the rest of the mutants in, and Magneto and Mystique go to disable Cerebro before the brainwashed Xavier can activate it. Storm and Nightcrawler rescue the captured students, and Jean fights a mind-controlled Cyclops. Their battle frees Cyclops, but damages the dam, which begins to rupture as a result. Logan finds Stryker in an adamantium smelting lab and remembers it as where he received his adamantium skeleton. Logan fights and kills Yuriko, aka Lady Deathstrike, then chases Stryker to a helicopter pad and chains him to the helicopter's wheel. Magneto stops Cerebro and, using Mystique impersonating Stryker to command Jason, has Xavier redirect his powers on humans instead to exterminate them and leave mutants as the dominant people on the planet. The two subsequently use Stryker's helicopter to escape, accompanied by Pyro, who has been swayed to the dark side by Magneto's point of view. Nightcrawler teleports Storm inside Cerebro, where she creates a snowstorm to break Jason concentration and free Xavier from his control. The X-Men flee the dam as water engulfs it, killing Stryker, but the X-Jet loses all power and struggles to take flight as the floodwater rushes forward towards them. Jean sneaks off the jet and telepathically wishes the team goodbye. She holds the water back and raises the jet above it as flames erupt from her body, until she lets go and allows the floodwater to crash upon her, seemingly killing her as a result. The X-Men give the President Stryker's files, and Xavier warns him that humans and mutants must work together to build peace. Otherwise, terrible things may eventually happen. Back at the school, Xavier, Cyclops, and Logan remember Jean fondly, and Xavier begins to hold a class after the dust seems to have settled. Meanwhile, a phoenix-like shape arises from the flooded waters of Alkali Lake as the film comes to a close.
Wow, what a story.
It's a really, really good story. Let me tell you that one. This one is once again co-written by the amazingness of David Hayter, who did such a great job writing the first film script after everything that happened. Just had to come back and see more of his awesome writing and work.
Yeah, but they asked him like, hey, you're in between Metal Gear Solids, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. How about you write our next X-Men film?
Why not? Oh my goodness. So basically, let us get into a few other things about this movie. Development on the sequel began shortly after the first film came out in 2000. David Hayter and Zach Penn wrote separate scripts, combining what they felt to be the best elements of both into one screenplay. So basically, this movie was the result of multiple people's ideas just shoved together, which usually that never works out.
Because two men cooks in the kitchen.
But it actually worked. They actually said, this is good, and this is good. Let's just put it all over there.
Yeah, but when it's done wrong, yikes.
Michael Dowder and Dan Harris were eventually hired to rewrite the script over time, however, and change the characterizations of many characters that were supposed to be in the movie, but were either taken out or changed entirely. Lady Deathstrike was originally supposed to have much more character, but was eventually dumbed down to a side villain.
Nice plot.
Which, that is like kind of sad, because she had such a great design, but only had one or two good moments.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Beast and Angel were supposed to be in this movie. Hank McCoy and Warren Worthington III, my friends. They were completely removed because, let's be honest, this movie has way too many characters to begin with.
Yeah.
It was definitely fine that they eventually pushed them off to the next movie.
Yeah, but...
Sentinels and the Danger Room were set to appear before being deleted because of budget concerns.
Of course.
The film was already very expensive, as we'll get into later, my friends. The film's premise was majorly influenced from the Marvel X-Men storylines, Return to Weapon X, and God Loves, Man Kills. Ooh, those books sound awesome. I gotta read them sometime. Filming began in 2002 and ended that same year, taking place mostly in Canada. They basically adapted a bunch of stuff from an amazing production designer from the previous movie. Really awesome stuff. Excuse me, my friends. The film received It did receive positive reviews for its storyline, action sequences, and performances from the actors.
Yep.
Mostly received 8 Saturn Award nominations on top of all the other award nominations that they received afterwards. We'll basically see if we can do the awards possibly now. Like, we got those nominations. The film won the Saturn Award for Best Science Fiction Movie. In
Makes
addition,
sense.
Bryan Singer for directing, Dan Harris and Michael Dowtrey for writing, and John Ottoman for music all received nominations. It also received nominations for its costume, makeup, special effects, and the DVD release, which was massively successful.
Really?
You could actually get a nomination for selling DVDs back in the day, which is crazy.
How's that possible, though?
Before Netflix.
That's all give me that.
That's exactly right. The Political Film Society honored X2 in the categories of human rights and peace.
Makes sense.
While the film was nominated for the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, which is actually very awesome, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Robert Ebert was actually impressed by how Singer was able to handle so many characters in one film, but felt that the storyline in some ways did not live up to its original potential.
The late great Roger Ebert, always delivering his great opinion.
Yeah, I know. Giving so basically he gave it about a 75 out of 100. 3 out of 4 stars, not too bad. No.
So, and if we had to go the simpler route, he'd give it the thumbs up.
Yeah, well, him,
side thumb?
him or me?
Ebert.
Him, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So basically, the film was made on an approximated budget, as you know, a lot of films were made on back in those days, but I'll do my best to calculate what I believe the film was. Okay, so this film was made on roughly $118 million.
Really?
Yep. Made on so much money paying all these guys' salaries. The film only made $408 million, though.
Hey, made that double, right?
Yeah, let me do a quick
about?
check. Yep, so this film made almost 3.5 times its budget back.
Well, there you go.
So very much
it proves
another
that
success, yeah.
Yeah, and it proves that a lot of people still love this movie.
I know. I mean, like, people will obviously have their differing opinions, or some will say up, down, the crazy coincidences, stuff that just doesn't fit together. But now, of course, we have to go through the cast list. We'll go back through the plot, other things that we liked and disliked about it before we close out this fantastic episode after a few tidbits. So, once again, going in with Patrick Stewart as Professor Charles Xavier. And it had been so many years since I had seen these movies again. I was not too sure if I was going to like his performance again after so long.
Right.
But, of course, one thing that I have noticed going back to see these scenes again, he is perfect.
Yeah, honestly, with this movie in particular, you could tell that Patrick Stewart really improved his version of Charles Xavier.
Exactly. He smoothed out the rough edges. Everything that was awkward or misleading in the first movie was very much gone. And this was probably one of his best performances as Charles Xavier going through all the movies.
Yeah.
As of course we go forward. A natural genius, Xavier is regarded as an authority on genetic mutation. Oh, he's a pacifist who believes humans and mutants can live together in harmony.
That's
now,
why.
I really do like that. Like, Xavier is the perfect example of somebody who thinks with their heart instead of their head, even though he has the potential to be a very intelligent man. Well,
exactly.
I really wouldn't say potential. He is one of the world's smartest men.
Yeah. I think he's ranked top 5 in terms of smart people in terms of Marvel.
I know.
His intelligence is on par with Marvel characters like Tony Stark, Reed Richards, Black Panther, and Doctor Doom.
Exactly. He has the capacity for so much warmth, kindness, and love. It's honestly something that everybody should strive for.
Yeah.
Maybe not everything, of course, because I don't always agree with everything that Professor Xavier does.
Yeah. Not a lot of people do.
Yeah, but you know what? Him and this movie is basically the same, if not better, as in the previous movie. He's very commanding, a very good leading performance, always
a good authority figure.
Except for the second half of the movie when he spends a good chunk of his time in a hypnotized state, rolling around in a fake X-Men mansion.
Well, you gotta let the X-Men shine here. But
I know, but he's also an X-Men too. I want to see him using his mind powers to throw people off buildings or something like that.
I mean, there was that scene in the beginning, near the start of the movie where he literally froze everyone in the museum.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
That's a bit hypocritical though. He said, "Don't show off." I was like, dude, you're literally showing off your power. That's not fair.
I know, but this guy, he's a major hypocrite. He'll saying
I hate to say it, X-Men fans, but Professor X is a bit of a hypocrite when it comes to certain situations.
I do find it hilarious how it's a school for gifted youngsters. Nobody in the year 2000 ever said youngsters in their lives.
No, the last time anyone said a youngster was probably the 70s or the 80s.
60s probably is more like it. If I was to ever ask my dad, did anybody ever call you a youngster when you were young, Dad? Like I probably should ask him that sometime.
But the thing,
basically,
but I mean, the X-Men were created in the 60s, so it fits.
I know. Okay, so despite the fact that Charles is basically out of the picture for most of it, he does a very good job from start to finish with what little material he's given.
When he is there, he pulls it off, and like you said, he's more smoothed out. And honestly, this is one of the best performances I've seen him do as the Professor.
Exactly. Now, of course, let's go to Hugh Jackman once again reprising his role as Logan.
Wolverine is. I'll just say this: he is still one of the best parts of this movie.
Oh my God! Yeah, even though. I really have the conflicting knowledge of the fact that Logan is basically the main character that are supposed to be teen movies. The fact that all the focus is on him and everybody else is in the background. But I don't care. Hugh Jackman is awesome in this. He is the perfect representation of a gruff loner who has no recollection of his past. He acts like he has no idea what's going on, but he doesn't care. Yeah. And like he has the perfect performance of that stuff.
It's like he's living in the moment. He doesn't care about the past.
He's so comfortable in his own manly fur that he doesn't like mind with what's going on. You know
manly fur. I see what you did there.
We got some amazing fight scenes with him.
Yeah, honestly, the scene in the middle of the movie where they're at Iceman's house and he's fighting the cops. That was like, oh my God, that's a Wolverine I love!
Except, mind you, he doesn't really fight the cops. They shoot him in the head and then he's knocked out.
But then he comes back because healing factor and also the bullet. Because there's an adamantium skull protecting his brain.
Oh my God, it's like, it always freaks me out because let me tell you, I will not put on my happy laughing face when I talk about this next segment. Like living in this day and age, whenever a police officer shoots anybody in the head, it's always going to be a different atmosphere as to what was back in 2003. Back in the day, that was either silly fun or serious fun. But
serious fun.
Maybe it's like, put the gun down. It's like everybody's like, oh no, we're trying to take this seriously.
The only time it's funny is in a comedy movie, kind of like if someone accidentally shoots someone in the head.
Yeah. The fun thing of the running gag of Logan clearly being in love with Jean Grey, but she's not sure if she's into it or not, is back. And it's like, I keep thinking to myself, bruh, this story does not need a love triangle. It's forced drama that's taken away from the narrative.
Yeah. The only incarnation of the X-Men that does it right is either the comics or the 90s cartoon.
Yeah, which of course was doing it very good there, even though it was still present.
Yeah, because in the 90s cartoon, the love triangle was there, but Logan knew the best way to make Jean happy is if Scott was still alive.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully they do that in the movies too. It's like zoop gone.
Yeah, we'll get to Last Stand where most of that stems from.
Yeah, so basically we'll say is that he has the ability to do amazing fight scenes, funny dialogue, amazing characterization for everything there.
Yeah.
If you loved Hugh Jackman in the first movie, you'll love him in this movie.
Yeah, not to mention, like you said with good fight scenes, like the fight near the end of the movie where he's fighting Lady Deathstrike. That was honestly one of the best fights I've ever seen in the franchise.
Yep, and now let's go to Mr. Eric Lensher. I finally figured out how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, Magneto is interesting.
He's just as good, if not better, in this movie.
It's Ian McKellen.
I gotta say, because I was so blown away by his performance in the first movie immediately with lines like, "It's our world now, Charles. They no longer matter." And now we go into this movie.
It's so funny because he controls metal, yet everything that surrounds him is plastic. Like plastic weapons, a plastic cell, plastic doors.
That's like the ultimate defense against him.
Yeah, because you know what else is a good defense against? You know what else plastic is a good defense against? Magic.
Yo, you know what? That is very true. I will definitely admit that.
I mean, if I'm being honest, the best way to get rid of to stop Magneto that isn't plastic. If I'm being honest, I feel like paper could stop him.
Yeah, it's like true, but you can't really okay, you could do some damage to somebody with paper, but that's like the tiniest of paper cuts ever. Expose their blood to the atmosphere.
Yeah, but he can he could probably manipulate his own blood because he controls the iron in blood. But I'm getting into the specifics here. But
Magneto now believes that mutants are superior to humans, that a genetic war is inevitable, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
He wields the ability to manipulate metal magnetically, the master of magnetism. Oh my god.
Yeah. The thing
he wears a helmet that renders him immune to Xavier's powers and all that. Mostly for a good chunk of this movie, he's being imprisoned for what he did in the first film.
Yeah.
He was drugged by William Stryker to give him the information he needed about the X-Mansion to launch the raid. I'm thinking to myself, it's like, you told him, did he? It's like, yo, that's actually awesome that Magneto helped build the mansion, and they used him for information.
Yeah, what a jerk.
We'll
save our own tangent for William Stryker, but like going from the first movie to this one, Magneto's still a bad guy, but the X-Men technically have to team up with him in order to stop Stryker's plan.
They do that. They form an alliance, which
is uneasy because whenever there's a story where the heroes have to form an alliance with villains, it's always uneasy. But they have to find a common ground in order to come out. And it could be the typical, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or get revenge on something, and then back to business as usual. It's like that because it's like this. It was like that for the Justice League when they teamed up with their villains. It's something like with the Avengers teaming up with their bad guys. It always happens, and it's the same thing with the X-Men.
Exactly, but they do it so darn well because even though you know he's probably going to betray them, you know why he is sympathetic. You understand, you want to represent with his cause. You understand what's going on from the first movie. I would also like to mention how Magneto's helmet is slightly redesigned in this movie.
That's right, it is.
Ian McKellen complained to the production staff how wearing the original helmet in the first movie was god awful. And
considering by the way it looks, it probably looked too tight to put on his head.
It was definitely too tight. They said, "Please give me a different helmet." And
how about more headroom and maybe some padding?
And they did. They gave him a much better looking helmet.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, like some of the X-Men's costumes are a little bit better here in this movie.
Yeah.
Because 3 years passed, so they had to improve on something.
I know.
I mean, it's still sort of the same as the first film, but there's slight improvements that make the costumes a little bit easier to bear with.
Yep. Okay, so definitely, if you liked Magneto in the first film, you'll like him in this one.
Absolutely.
And now we go to Miss Halle Berry as Storm. Okay, believe it or not, folks, I honestly did not know how to spell Storm's character's actual first name until right now. I thought that it was Aurora Monroe, but it's actually Ororo Monroe, right?
Yeah, that's about right.
It's basically Ororor. And I'm thinking, that is really creative and a thing on the brain to spell. It's like, oh my god.
It hurts the brain. Like, when I first read that her real name online, I'm like, what kind of name is this? And then I looked it up, I was like, oh, that actually makes sense. But his name aside, Storm was much better in this movie compared to the last one.
Yeah,
she really did stuff in the last one.
Exactly.
Also, her accent improved.
It did. It's still
slightly.
It's still not the best. I really rag on Halle Berry in the first movie. Probably a bit too heavy in our original talk about the first movie.
Yeah.
She was giving it her all, and even though she was basically one of the lesser accurate characters.
Yeah.
She didn't have the natural African accent. She didn't have the natural long flowing white hair.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Thankfully, with this movie, Storm's hair at least looks a little better.
It definitely looks a lot better. Like, she's putting more and more into it, going more and more harder. Like, definitely trying a lot more with all of the other characters. She is an African mutant and a teacher at the school who can control the weather with her mind. She befriends Nightcrawler throughout the movie too. They got a nice friendship.
Yeah, that dichotomy is and like me as the comic book guy, I know a lot about Storm because she's considered an Omega level mutant. If you don't know what that is, an Omega level mutant basically is a mutant that is very, 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 very powerful.
Yeah.
Storm is the exception. She can control the weather here, and she can even control the weather on other planets.
Which is amazing.
And it's crazy to think about it.
There's actually a really funny story connected to Halle Berry's thing in this movie. She actually considered not coming back for the role.
Really?
Believe it or not, with everything that was going on. But here's the thing. She was set to appear in the movie Giggly from 2003. That
what kind of movie is that?
The film was a 2003 comedy starring Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, Al Pacino, and Christopher Walken.
So that's all Ben Affleck and J-Lo met. Okay.
Yeah, that's it, because the movie was actually their first encounter, which shows, as of the recording of this video, their supposed blossoming romance. However, it has been regarded as basically one of the worst romantic comedies ever made. So she chose to leave. She chose to drop out of the movie to be in that. So basically, Jennifer Lopez got into that movie. She dodged a massive bullet coming back to this movie.
Yeah, considering the fact that a year later she went on to do Catwoman.
Yeah, so basically, maybe she didn't dodge the bullet all the way. She didn't see the
maybe I think the bullet grazed her, or being honest.
The bullet bounced off something behind her and hit her in the back where she couldn't see it. It's like, okay, I missed. Okay.
But in all seriousness, I feel like Halle Berry naturally improved her performance as Storm, but not by much.
No, because like
I mean, Storm is still prominent,
but at least she improved. She wasn't the best, but
Right.
at least she improved. All of that.
The same goes for like Rogue and Iceman.
Exactly, but of course we'll get to them in a few minutes. Next, we got Miss Jean Grey, Famke Janssen.
Jean is an interesting source.
I
again.
know. We got to talk about this once we go back to the plot to disencable it. Now she is doing the best job she can.
Yeah. Do you think it was better than the first film?
That's the thing about it.
That's the question. That's like the $1 million question here.
Jean was already fine in the first movie, and
Yeah.
she's also fine here.
So it's like no change?
No, it's like maybe the tiniest bit of change, maybe like a 5% increase.
So maybe she's 5%. Wow, that's a low bar.
So yeah, Jean is like her best in the original trilogy in this movie.
Yeah, because she barely appears in the other X-Men films. The only besides the original trilogy, the only other X-Men films that she appears in, technically, are X-Men Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, and weird a weird appearance in the Wolverine. We'll get to that when
She's also in Days of Future Past, remember?
Yeah, but that's a whole other thing, my friend.
So Jean has begun to experience a growth in her telepathic and kinetic abilities since the X-Men battle with Magneto in the first movie. So apparently she's having all these cosmic surges and premonitions that something's inside of me, something is coming. But like, we don't know what that is until the end of the movie. When we do find out what it is, it's not good.
Because it's the Phoenix Force, and
oh my god,
you die-hard Marvel fans know the Phoenix Force is something from space, not something that grows inside of Jean Grey.
Yeah,
just because Jean Grey is the most popular host for the Phoenix Force does not mean that she has to have it grow inside of her.
Yeah, but of course the people that wrote this movie and made the movie did not know the difference.
Yeah, they didn't read they probably didn't read the comics, and they probably didn't watch the 90s cartoon, because the 90s cartoon
shows it very well.
Yeah, because they knew how to write the Dark Phoenix saga pretty well.
Yeah, she is Cyclops' fiance, even though they barely act like a loving couple. That's actually something that's really bothering me, is that the more that I read X-Men and like animated comics and material like that, Cyclops and Jean Grey always act like they're together. James Marsden and Miss Jansen, on the other hand, in these movies, they kind of do. It's kind of like one of those.
It's kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah, basically it's like, I guess we're a couple, but are we gonna kiss? Nope.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope.
But and beside that,
if you like romances where nobody kisses, you'll love these dudes.
But Jean and Scott, they're a fine couple. It's just they don't always show it.
And that's the thing about it, is that always got it weird to me. She clearly likes Logan. It's very made clear in this movie from their interactions. But she can't decide, do I like the nerdy Four Eyes guy, or do I like the bad boy with the mutton chops? I can't decide.
Yeah, but what mutant power soothes me more? Optic Blast Laser Eyes or Awesome Claws?
You can't see this, but I'm pretty sure you can get what I'm saying, like from Wolverine. The audience can't see.
We do not want to disclose that, because
here's a crayon. Fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so
make that what you will.
So I will say she did a slightly better job than she did in the first movie.
Yeah, but only much.
James Marsden as Scott Summers.
Cyclops was like really not that prominent in this film.
And that's basically, you could say, for the whole original trilogy, because he was the best.
He barely did anything.
He barely did anything, which is exactly why many say he's the most boring of the X-Men. He's literally one of the best looking X-Men, and just
Jim Lee's art style for the X-Men, that is my favorite look of the X-Men, and the way Cyclops looks in Jim Lee's art style is great.
I know, he's so.
And then we have this movie, and
I'm like, dude is like, he's played by a really nice and talented actor, but he's basically pushed off to the side to give Wolverine stuff.
Yeah, it's like if Max Goof got boring.
Yeah, basically, Cyclops is taken prisoner for a majority of the movie after going to see Magneto with Professor X. He is brainwashed by Stryker. They do have a really awesome fight with him and Jean at the end of the movie. That fight scene
was cool, because I feel like if written right and the relationship was more obvious and more like
prominent,
yeah, I feel like there would be a more connection here, where maybe if Cyclops was brainwashed, he would still hold back because of his feelings for Jean are slowly slipping back into his brain.
Exactly, because like, I would love it if she could talk, because I'm pretty sure she talked him back to reality. Honestly,
I'm sure that's the case, because that's how telepaths always do it, to snap you out of it.
It was actually probably one of the best moments for him in the movie, as few and far between as they were. Them holding each other in their arms and saying how much they love each other. Because even though they should have shown it more. It's just like,
although, Genius Cyclops, I have to ask this. Is this the X-Men's take on marriage counseling?
Bruh, I hope so. Because I would love to fight with my wife like that. I would love to do it as I would love to blow up all of the neighbors' houses with my lace business. Like, see, why are you making me do this?
And you would want a wife to telepathic the cars to tell you to stop?
Yeah, basically like, watch out for the car. What car?
Oh, that car!
Oh, that's awesome.
So Cyclops,
as like a little presence he has in this movie, he does as good a job he did in the first movie.
So basically, your 5% rule.
Yeah, no, basically like the 5% rule. He was as good in the first movie.
That's fair.
Maybe if not a little bit lesser because of his lack of screen time.
That's fair.
But like, what little he did, he gave a fine performance in it.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end when that moment happened, when we'll talk about it in the plot. Yeah. Now, of course, we go to Miss Rogue, played by Anna Paquin.
Oh, God. Rogue is... Oh, boy.
I
Considering our problems with her from the first film, some of them got alleviated.
Yeah, some of them were a little better, but it still doesn't escape the fact it should have been Jubilee playing
exactly.
this role. That one,
to be fair though, Rogue doesn't really have the spotlight for this film. No. That's not. So it proves that it's a little better, but
oh my goodness! Because I really do like her dilemma though. They keep the dilemma going that's always been like that for her characterization. Rogue can easily kill someone if she touches them for too long, which means she can't form physical attractions to anybody, which is honestly very, very sad in my opinion.
Which actually isn't that very reflective? Because I know as far as I know, there's the LGBTQ term called asexual, which means you can love someone, but you won't have a physical attraction
to them. That is
I feel like Rogue is trying to be that without really explicitly trying to say that. I could be wrong though, so don't quote me on that.
Don't quote him on that.
But Rogue's scared of not having a physical relationship with Bobby, Iceman.
I know.
It's heartbreaking.
It really, really is.
Because they can't even kiss, and it sucks.
I know, it really, really does. I'll definitely say though, they did try to do increase her character, try to get her to do more field work for the X-Men. Obviously, doing stuff like that, like going out in the field, having nice conversations with the characters during the final fight and the middle of the movie. Yeah. Stuff like that, being the nice supporting character for especially Logan. I really do like her.
Her relationship with Logan is great.
Even though it's very misplaced because the characters and everything, I do really appreciate what was going on.
Me too.
That. So if you liked her in the first movie, you'll definitely like her in this one. Even though with me, it's still iffy.
Yeah, same here.
I do commend Anna Paquin for sticking out. Next is Miss Raven Darkholme as Mystique. And actually, Raven is the character's name. We got Rebecca Romijn Stamos. Wait, is she married to John Stamos?
I feel like she is.
Okay. She was married to John Stamos during the making of these movies.
There it is.
But she divorced him in between this movie and the sequel. And 2005, she kept his last name. She's been married to Jerry O'Connell for almost 15 years now, which is actually awesome. She's married to a animated Superman's actor.
How about that?
That's pretty awesome. I think about that. So basically, as you know from the first movie, Mystique is Magneto's shape-shifting blue feminine fatale and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Mystique's performance in this film compared to the last one
is improved because she's given a bit more stuff to do.
Not much though.
Not much though.
She just so the 5% rule.
Yeah, basically she's only there to sneak in to get the plans to break Magneto out of prison. She has that very weird scene where she changes into Jean and Storm to have sex with Logan at the end of the movie. It's bro, what are you doing?
I mean, to be fair though, the only thing, the standout for Mystique in this movie specifically is when she disguised herself as Logan to get inside the facility. That was cool.
Oh my god!
But then those other things happen. I'm like, what are you doing?
Okay, so basically going on, she's basically Magneto's shape-shifting henchwoman. She's blue. She's covered in scales, which I thought was pretty cool.
Mystique is an interesting one.
She injects a guard with metal, to which Magneto can rip the metal out of this guy.
Yeah, and considering the fact that, and again, that scene was amazing. Dang. And considering the fact that iron is a metal in your blood, Mystique didn't need to do that.
She didn't need to.
If Magneto could tap into his full potential, he could literally pull all the blood out of your body and kill you.
Okay, so now this is definitely a very much known fact. The makeup, okay, so they did also put the little tidbit of her sexually tempting Wolverine for like one scene.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, dude, like, Mystique, I get it. You are very attractive.
You are beautiful.
I very much understand why.
Yes.
It's just not now.
Yeah, like there's a time and place for this kind of stuff, just not now.
But then, of course, we forgot who directed this. There was never a good time for any of
Too
this.
soon?
No.
No, you're right. That was
Too
like
soon to
that was
roast
like a
people
couple years
like
ago.
Bryan Singer. So basically, this is a very much well-known fact. Okay, the makeup to put on Miss Stamos' makeup for the first movie, 9 hours every day to put the Mystique makeup on.
9 hours?
Yeah, basically it took 9 hours under the makeup light to put the scales on individually every day. I mean,
Wait, I bet she had to arrive at 7, like 4 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, she did apparently during the filming of that, but the makeup department was able to lower it to 6 hours for the sequel for this movie. So basically, they were able to get the makeup on faster and thus have her be in more scenes in the movie. Which
That's at least good.
You also remember that she was impersonating the dead Senator Kelly in this movie, too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is like, so that was technically a thing. So
Yeah.
Kelly is still here, but not really.
Yeah, I
will
feel
say
like-
though, I really did like her more in this movie.
Yeah, there were like, despite what we said, some of the other stuff that she's done in this movie is good. Like one of the funny moments I remember. This is like about another new character, Nightcrawler. The fact that she impersonated him, I'm like, okay, that's funny.
That is very, very funny going into the film. So if you liked her in the first movie, you thought she was just fine. Just know she has a lot more scenes for you to judge her with.
And again,
in
follows
this movie.
Mike's 5% rule.
Yep, and then we have Mr. William Stryker, played by the amazing Brian Cox.
William Stryker is an interesting character.
Oh my god, I've never met a character in Marvel. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's so weird because Marvel has way more characters with punchable faces than DC does.
Yeah, I can
tell
think of
you.
a few faces in Marvel that are worth punching.
William-
This guy.
Henry Gyrick.
Yes. Bolivar Trask.
Yeah.
Man, it's mainly X-Men related characters
It's
that I
mostly
want to
the
punch.
X-Men related characters
The
because
only Avengers related character I want to punch is Red Skull.
or Thunderbolt Ross.
Oh, yeah, of course,
I could
yeah.
punch him, but then he punched me right back.
Yeah, because he could Red Hulk up.
Yeah, basically, a human military scientist who plans on a worldwide genocide of mutants.
Yeah,
So
Stryker
basically,
hates mutants.
this dude is legit. Like, he is working for the U.S. government and plans on genociding people. He doesn't consider them people, though.
But
That is-
that's hypocritical because like you said in the plot synopsis, his son is a mutant.
Oh no, that's exactly what it is. Like he sees the birth of his son as like the ultimate push over the edge.
Yeah, didn't we establish how the X gene and how kids get the mutant abilities? I think it was like due via the men's sperm or something.
I mean, like I was like mainly focusing on the fact that his wife supposedly died, not wanting to cope with the fact that their son was a mutant.
Do you think it's possible? Was it implied that she killed herself?
I can only assume it's like she just gave up on life. It's like she gave birth to a monster.
Good
and basically,
Lord.
I called her-
trust me. Anti-mutant haters that aren't anti-mutant haters in an X-Men franchise, they are really bad people.
Okay, so basically, believe it or not, Bryan Singer really wanted to have Brian Cox in the role as William Stryker after seeing his performance in the film of the Hannibal Lecter series, Manhunter.
Really?
From 1986. Technically, Manhunter is the film before The Silence of the Lambs, which is the most popular of the film franchise. It's so very weird to see a film franchise where the second film is the most popular. Believe it or not.
Hello, there are a few franchises that have that.
I mean, like, Terminator, I
Terminator
suppose.
2,
Technically.
Empire Strikes Back, technically.
Toy Story.
Toy Story 2, yes.
Okay, so maybe it's not totally uncommon.
Yeah. And considering the fact this movie, you know what, that's different.
I should definitely like to point out the fact that after seeing a film from last year recently on Netflix, The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yeah,
I basically
that
said
one's interesting.
That's honestly one of the greatest films of 2020. After like sitting through that, seeing the kind of people that do exist in this world that we simply choose not to form because they are government officials. We believe that they are in charge of our military, our safety, that they have our best interest in mind. But we also forget the same people who control all of the weapons control all of our security and safety.
That's
the second they decide that we are not worth a damn, they will execute us without a single second thought. Like the judge in the trial of the Chicago 7, he was going to prosecute Bobby Steele, the head of the Black Panther Party, even though he had no connection to the crimes that were committed, simply because he was a black man.
My God.
And of course, this film identifies Stryker as somebody who despises mutants so much for taking his beloved wife away, for giving him any semblance of a chance of being an actual good father. He was willing to wipe out millions of innocent souls because of something he saw as impure and disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that also child exploitation when you do that? Considering his son's powers?
Because, yes, he was manipulating his son via mind control. And I'm like, thinking to myself, what kind of a man would treat his own son this poorly? Clearly, we are not the monsters here. The second you do something immoral and do not see it as wrong is the day that you are totally lost.
And possibly some people would shun you from society, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm actually kind of glad that Stryker died at the end of this movie,
Yeah,
honestly.
I forgot about that.
Me too, because it's not really implied very well, because I'm pretty sure once we go back and scroll the plot, we'll get into it deeper. But Brian Cox, great villain, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the best villains of the saga.
You can't go wrong with that.
Without a single shadow of a doubt. And now, time for one of the most interesting castings of the entire X-Men saga, at least for the original A-plot cast. Alan Cumming as Kurt Wagner, the Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler is an interesting X-Men character because this guy can basically teleport everywhere, and he looks a little bit like a monkey.
Now, believe it or not, I'm not the biggest fan of Alan Cumming, to be honest. I've seen him in plenty of bad movies to basically me say it's like, I cannot take this dude seriously no matter what happens. Like, for the best perfect example, though, I know that he was one of the guys in James Bond's GoldenEye from 95. I know that he was in a handful of the Spy Kids movies.
Yeah.
And those I do admit, it's like, okay, I'll give him a pass for the silliness in that. For him being all the super silly stuff and all that. But I refuse to acknowledge that he was in Son of the Mask. Anybody associated with that movie, it was horrible.
That bad, huh?
This is like one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I'm guessing it took the original Mask movie and just shoved it down the toilet.
Yeah, just shoved it all the way down to the Mississippi River, out to the Indian Ocean, and then just left it there.
Good Lord.
That's exactly what it was. But then it blew me away that somebody who was in a movie that bad and does stuff like Spy Kids willingly turned in this good of a performance.
Yeah.
It honestly blew me away because I thought that me not liking Nightcrawler in this movie was only going to be a live action movie thing. Honestly, because I thought it's like, okay, fine, they gave a good portrayal of the character here. It's not like every incarnation is going to be this good. But then we watched the 90s animated series X-Men just to prep for the possibility of more episodes with Disney down the line. And for the few episodes that Nightcrawler was in the animated series, he was amazing.
Yes, he was amazing. The first episode that he debuted in that show, it was great to watch.
I know, it just blew me away how grounded and characterized he was. They established what his deal was, what his thing was all about. It's just I immediately attached to it because, like him, I am a man of strong Catholic faith. I believe that the good Lord has a plan for all of us, no matter how big, small, wide, or thin. And I really connected with him on that, Mars, because it's I very rarely connect to comic book characters. I either hate them, enjoy them, one or the other. I very rarely see myself as them. But this dude, as a very strong Catholic faith character, my goodness, I am very, very much happy that. And the fact is, he looks like a blue demon. That's exactly what it is,
yeah.
Right? He's called the Blue Demon, but he is of Catholic faith.
Considering the Blue Demon gave birth to him in the comics, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so for those who don't know, Mystique is technically Nightcrawler's mother.
Which...
It's a long, convoluted story.
Yeah, we'll basically get to that in later episodes when we talk about other incarnations more deeply. But then, of course, this dude is one of my favorite racism and outsider allegories in the X-Men. Because
Yeah.
this dude is a nice German. Now back in the 60s, I'm pretty sure like my father would debate with me on this about like the linguistics and the certainties of all this stuff from like World War II. But back then, when Stan Lee and all these guys were making the characters, looking up for allusions and allegories for racism. For those of you who are not the biggest fan of history buffs around here, after World War II was lost, the three nationalities that were most scrutinized for decades were the Germans, the Japanese, and the Italians.
Yeah, pretty much.
They were scrutinized beyond all belief,
Because they lost.
Seen as blue devils in the night, something that would stalk you if you let them.
Considering that at least one out of those three powers did something inhumane.
Yeah, basically, and seeing this, they created a German character who is seen by everybody as a demon, but is one of the nicest, sweetest cream puffs on the planet.
Yeah, I'd honestly have a cup of coffee with Nightcrawler.
Which is fantastic. It's like, that really connects to what I am all about in every sense. This thing right here. Nightcrawler was hypnotized by Stryker in an attempt to kill the president, to give him... and gives help to the X-Men later on, so that Stryker could infiltrate the mansion.
That scene alone, the scene where Nightcrawler is fighting those White House guards, that is honestly one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, because it is fast, it is action-packed, and it's just great to watch.
Oh,
and the special effects hold up, like him teleporting all over the place, and you've got Diaz Irae playing in the background. It's like, yes, so this is how you do it.
Okay, so basically, Alan Cumming was always going to be Bryan Singer's first choice for it. As you know, he has tattoos on his body, if you haven't noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
Which is weird because he gets a tattoo every time he sins. Which of course, I've definitely seen some characters do that.
Alan Cumming?
Yeah, well, the Nightcrawler character, when he was talking...
Oh, right. Nightcrawler said he gave himself tattoos whenever he does a
Yeah,
scene.
which...
Okay.
I've seen, characters do that, specifically in the 2005 Doom adaptation of the video game.
Oh, yeah.
Where, one of the characters, every time they sin, they cut a mark into their body. Which is, I've definitely seen things like that. It's, a constant reminder to never do that sin again.
Yeah, and then you got a dark reflection in the form of Batman villain Victor Zsasz, where every time he kills someone, he has a telemark to his body, and it's ugh.
I would honestly never connect that guy with Catholic figures, though.
Me neither.
But then again, when Singer originally approached Alan Cumming to be in the movie, he originally couldn't be in it because of scheduling conflicts. But seeing as how the movie took 3 years to be made, basically he held off Nightcrawler scenes as long as he could in the hopes that Alan Cumming would be free from Spy Kids to basically be in the movie.
Wait, which Spy Kids was in development at the time? Was it the second one?
One, because he was in the first movie.
Right. Right. The first film was 2002? 2001. The second film was around 2004?
No, 2. And because each of the movies...
And then the third one didn't come until 2006.
No, 3.
What?
Yeah, 2003.
Why am I'm getting my wires crossed
They only
here.
took a year to make these movies. Of course, the fourth one, I can't wait to rip that apart.
That's gonna be fun!
Another actor, Ethan Embry, a really good character actor, was going to take his place before Alan Cumming's schedule cleared up. Basically, the drawings that they used for the makeup for Nightcrawler, it took 4 hours to get him into that crap.
4 hours?
So basically, when you look at that stuff in the original trilogy, that's all real. None of that is CG.
That is ambitious.
Which I really do like that stuff.
Yeah.
The scene where Nightcrawler has his shirt on, they had to go because mind you though, it's not like Mystique, which is she's all scales.
Yeah.
They had to just do his hands and his face.
Yeah, because there were a lot of scenes in the movie where Nightcrawler was wearing clothes.
Yeah, fully clothed. But then there was the scene where he was showing off his tattoos. That scene took 9 hours to make.
Really?
Because they had to draw all over his body for that.
But we said earlier, I agree with you in saying that I like Nightcrawler as a little friendship he makes with Storm.
I really do. Oh yeah, one other thing I do appreciate about Alan Cummings, to prep for the character, he read a lot of Nightcrawler's storylines from the comic books to get the inspiration.
There you go.
Practicing reading the comic book lines instead of reading the actual script. Which
that's dedication. Why don't more comic book superhero actors do that?
Because I'm pretty sure at least half of them want to do their own thing with the character instead of taking.
But some of them have read comics with the characters they play, and it works. Because if I remember correctly, I think Hugh Jackman read a couple Wolverine comics to prep to do the couple roles.
Yep.
Or probably read the comic adaptations of comic versions of some movies.
Yep.
So it works.
Okay, so basically now we're going into the lightning round of characters just to you'll get through the rest of the cast, including the people in behind the scenes.
Right.
Before we go back to the plot, we have the Mystique, aka Senator Kelly's actor, coming back to play Mystique in disguise.
Oh yeah.
He was fine. Honestly, he was basically here nor there. We knew that he would eventually be gone.
Yeah.
He did a fine job.
And then Pyro. What is your?
Oh boy!
His character change. Yikes!
I mean, it was not a bad idea.
No.
Pyro
It wasn't.
turn to the dark side.
Because Pyro in the comics, he's a bad guy.
Yeah,
So,
but you know what? This is the live action movies of him. Probably the best portrayal we've ever seen of the character.
that is true. Because even though we love we're now new fans of the '90s X-Men show, that version of Pyro, what happened?
It was definitely not very good, at least in my opinion. So
Yeah.
this version of him being kind of that stuck-up bully hothead character.
Yeah,
that
literal
was
hothead.
Basically, people say that Anakin Skywalker's development was rushed in the prequel trilogy. This guy became a villain in the span of one movie.
Yeah.
This guy
So suck on that.
Oh my god. So basically, it shows that he has antisocial tendencies.
What?
Because it
That sounds like a lame excuse.
So basically, they say that he has the ability to control but not create fire. That's actually kind of weird.
So he's a firebender.
Yeah, he's basically a firebender.
Well, makes sense because Avatar:
the
Last Airbender was a thing at the time.
No, it wasn't. Avatar didn't air until 2005. 2 years after this movie aired.
That was close. Whoops.
Magneto tells him that you are a god amongst insects. Never let anyone tell you different. And that line is what drove him over the edge. Finally, because it really is that, because back in those days, people always would include these characters in these movies that were really violent, but were told to bottle their anger up inside and use it for positive influence.
Yeah, that's not how you do it.
Telling characters not to use their natural gifts will basically only make them rebel more, become more villainous in the end.
Yeah.
Magneto was the only one who was actually listening to him throughout the entirety of the movie.
Despite Magneto being a villain, he sometimes understands how some mutants think.
The guy who was playing Pyro in the movie, and Aaron Stanford. Okay, now believe it or not, I was recently reminded of this because I only just remembered the guy who plays Pyro in the movies is a minor character in the Walking Dead spin-off Fear the Walking Dead.
Really?
Which I find that amazingly funny because he's literally playing the same character in that show as well, except 40 years old.
Oh my god. It's like if Pyro never grew up.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
You and I will eventually see that one of these days.
It's just and the way Pyro acts is it's like the scene at Bobby's house where he's he basically incinerates a couple cops. I'm like, God, this guy's ticked.
Oh yes, I know. Oh my goodness, I know that very much well.
I mean he's literally blowing off steam, but that's a whole other issue.
Exactly. Okay, so basically, yes, Pyro was very well done, if not a very decent background villain character. But
Rush development?
Rush development, yes, but the payoff was still very much worth it.
And then we got Lady Deathstrike.
We got Lady Deathstrike very much because, like I said, a bunch of her scenes were cut out when the rewrites were done. But of course, her design with the long fingernails is very,
cool.
very
and
awesome.
luckily, it's made the same way as adamantium, like Wolverine's claws.
Exactly.
The way she goes out is ugh.
Yep.
It's weird.
They basically inject the adamantium inside of her and it starts pouring out her mouth and eyes. Every single orifice she has.
Out of her eyes, out of her mouth, out of her nose. I hope not out of her,
but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, but
basically, she wields the long fingernails. And trust me, folks, if you've ever had a girlfriend with long fingernails, you know exactly how it feels like. Because I'm pretty sure the person who created her. Let me just do a double take on who.
It wasn't Stan Lee, right?
No.
No. Lady Deathstrike was more of a modern X-Men character. I think she was created in the 80s.
She was created by Dennis O'Neil and Bill Mantlo mostly.
Okay.
As well as some assistance by Chris Claremont.
There we go.
So basically all of them contributed to her in some shape or form.
All right.
Just know, never make your girlfriend with long fingernails angry. That's 10 little knives that she could take you out.
Oh, yeah.
It hurts really bad. Her first name is only shown through dialogue and not through any of her own. Very, very, very much few of it there is. Because trust me, when we saw her thing in the 90s animated show. It was really interesting because she has this really complex backstory that she was one of Wolverine's lovers from many years ago.
But yeah, and her look in that show, the long nails aside, it was basically like a cybernetic techno-organic body of hers. It's like,
this is like the ultimate example of the most angry ex-girlfriend on the planet.
Yeah.
and in this movie, she's just there. So
yeah, isn't it like a show or a movie called My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend or something?
Yeah, but I've never seen it.
I don't think so either.
So,
but yeah,
great design, no character to speak of.
It's probably the only problem we have with this movie. Lady Deathstrike was meant to have more, but she didn't.
One of them, anyway.
Yeah.
Wait, was she on this? Okay, believe it or not, the actress who played Lady Deathstrike was actually Miss Teen USA in 1985.
What?
She was also Miss Hawaii USA in 1993, so she was a 2 runner-up beauty queen, and she was also Dr. Ray Chang on Sunset Beach, a soap opera from the late 90s.
Interesting.
So these actors, none of us know who they is because this is very outdated information.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. But then of course I'm going to be saving my favorite named character in the credits for last. Let's talk about Peter Rasputin as Colossus. Then again, there's really nothing to talk about with him too.
Yeah, this version of Colossus is he gets the look right,
the metal body, but like he's not Russian though.
No, that's the weird part.
He's played by
Colossus is a Russian character.
He's played by a Canadian actor. Believe it or not, though, this was actually the actor's very first movie.
Of course it was.
Yeah, because this is the very first thing that he was doing, stuff like that. He was the actor would later appear in stuff like the first Percy Jackson movie, a lot of the Twilight films. Which is, oh boy, why? He was in the movie Are We There Yet with Ice Cube.
Oh my.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Believe it or not, he was actually supposed to play a younger version of Cyclops in a later movie in the X-Men universe before the scene was deleted.
Really?
So it sucks, which of course, mind you though, I would not have been mad at that, but of course I would have actually seen the scene to have figured that out. So basically, Cyclops is in the movie, but he's not all the way accurate. You may look at him and say, oh yeah, he's cool. He gets better in the later movies though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And last but not least, before we get into the lightning round, we have Bobby Drake as Iceman.
Yeah, Iceman he's interesting, and the fact we get to see his family life, I feel like that develops him a little more.
He honestly has one of the greatest arcs in the entirety of the original movies, if not a little bit frustrating towards the middle-ish part before they get to the end.
Yeah, because Bobby's brother is a jerk.
Now,
he called the cops on them.
Yeah, so I will basically be saying this to you folks right now. As a bisexual individual, I've heard many stories from many different people living under very similar conditions to this. Those who choose to play the ultimate role. This world will say that so many people cannot act, nor ordinary everyday people need to act like Brad Pitt every single day just to survive. People like Bobby and all of the other X-Men characters need to act their best Academy Award-winning performance to still be loved by their family. When Bobby essentially comes out as a mutant to his parents, it's honestly one of the greatest comic book movie scenes in my opinion.
Which is very fitting because nowadays in the comics, Iceman is literally stated that it's literally confirmed that Bobby is gay.
There's a lot of literallys in that sentence you just said. But
I was starting over my words.
It really does love it how Bobby is a gay superhero icon.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the 60s. It kind of makes all those scenes in the first X-Men comic when he was very much in love with Jean Grey very strange.
A little bit.
But of course, then again, as much as I'm not as much a fan of modern comic book interrogations, I do love that they went that route with it. But going throughout the entire scene, Bobby's family seemed very much normal, run-of-the-mill, very much shocked to see a big Australian man with mutton chops drinking the damn beer from the fridge. If it was his house, you need to pay for the beer if you're going to drink it. Oh my god. But then of course, he comes out to his family and they're appropriately stunned and starstruck and kind of a little bit disappointed. You can see the disappointment and disapproval on their faces. Yeah. And that scene just gives me shudders each and every time. Especially the scene right afterwards, as we go through it, when his mother speaks the line, "Have you ever tried not being a mutant?" why don't you just say what you actually mean? Have you ever tried kissing a girl? It's like, yeah, I know exactly what this is. And believe it or not, it's so dang good for being in 2003 when all of this stuff was looked down upon, because thank goodness we don't live in that world anymore. But I have to say, as many issues as this franchise would have as we go through the movies, this is definitely one of the best. Bobby has one of the best handled stuff, at least in the first half of his story. The third part may have stumbled a bit, but he eventually picked it up at the end. Yeah. So I will say, if you love Bobby in the first movie, as little he got a lot more story in this one, and it's so dang good. If you have a problem of having your parents not understand you for who you are, read Iceman Comics. Learn from Mr. Bobby Drake about the stuff he's gone through. Maybe you will find a kindred spirit, my friends.
Yeah.
So definitely approve of him in there. So now we got to run through all the other characters in this movie. Jason Stryker is there, which is very nice. I think.
She was being exploited by his father.
A man named Cotter Smith was playing the U.S. president. I've not really seen him in a lot of movies recently. I will say about this. So Jubilee is there, just played by a different actor.
There's a joke among X-Men fans that says like every movie Jubilee's played by a different actor,
which is so freaking funny. A character named Artie is in this movie. Artie Maddox. Huh.
Look at me, I had no idea.
Okay, so basically he's a cameo in the movie for some reason. I'm trying to remember it.
That's about as weird as Frank Oz cameoing in Home Alone 2.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm basically looking. So it wasn't just... Okay, so yeah, Beast was in the movie. Remember, like...
That's right, there was a scene in the bar where he was on TV.
Yeah, so Hank McCoy is there, just like not played by the canon actor who would be the canon Hank McCoy for the original cast. So yeah, he is there, which is honestly really nice. The character of Siren is there.
Siren is a lesser-known X-Men character.
Which I didn't... Okay, she later retired the name. Okay, so she's Banshee's daughter.
There it is.
Which is so weird because, Banshee is in a later movie. So that's technically his daughter. So that's 3 members of the Cassidy family. That's actually really awesome.
Right, because there's also Black Tom Cassidy from Deadpool 2.
Okay, so I will say this, though. Gambit was supposed to make a cameo in the movie to be in the 3rd film. But the footage was later discarded for pacing. So that sucks so bad because I love Gambit so much.
Gambit is an interesting character.
I will definitely say that. Like, he will eventually appear in one of the 13 movies of this saga, and I will get to that when we get to it, my friends. Just know that he was going to be there, but not in. As in the final scene with Xavier, a girl dressed in a Native American-style jacket, as well as a blonde-haired boy dressed in blue named This. Okay, so there was supposed to be a scene where Xavier was meeting with a Native American-dressed girl and boy that was never shown in the movie.
Huh.
Okay, so these were confirmed to be... Oh my goodness!
What?
Actually, no. I'm actually remembering this scene now. So at the end of the movie, so Xavier is meeting with Native American dressed children. These are members of the New Mutants, which is actually so that's actually awesome, which actually connects to the New Mutants movie because this is
great.
Technically, so basically it shows Mirage from the New Mutants or Psyche or Danny. If I remember correctly, yes, she was in the New Mutants. So basically, she met Charles as a child before becoming a teenage character in the final movie.
Who would have thought?
And the boy that was with her, he was Douglas Ramsey, aka Cypher from the New Mutants. So that's actually cool. I never knew that.
How about that?
Oh my goodness. Okay, and last fun cameo fact from the cast: the main writers of the movie, the guy that rewrote David Hayter and everybody else's scripts, appear in cameos as the surgeons operating on Wolverine during the flashbacks.
Oh yeah,
which is very, very cool. I would definitely like to say that.
That's clever.
Yep. Okay, so we've already gone through the accolades. Let's just breeze through the plot, then we'll talk about our thoughts, and then we'll wrap up the movie because we basically did a good enough job of recapping the main plot eventually.
Yeah. So the story, like the whole plot, I feel like this was just a much better improvement than the first film.
Yep. Amazing fight in the White House with Nightcrawler.
Yes, that was great. The like Jean and Storm go into the church to find Nightcrawler. That was honestly like a tense scene
I
and all
know,
that.
it looked so well
Like
shot.
Nightcrawler was worried that they were just gonna hunt him down and he thought they were cops, but Storm said, "No, we're friends."
And it was true because they're such good friends. And then we have the raid on the mansion.
The raid on the mansion is it's one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life.
I know, just seeing these kids. I love Wolverine interacting with the children in this movie. It's this dude is clearly the least qualified man to take care of children.
Yeah, he is no den mother.
Oh my god,
father.
but he does it so well. It's so funny. It's like basically this huge hulking guy carrying a baby, just walking around. Like he's carrying the mansion like it was a baby, and he's doing it so well. I find it so darn great. Then basically we have the fight. We actually have the scene from the museum, which was fine.
The museum scene's alright. And again, that whole scene where Professor X just uses his powers to freeze everything, I'm like,
great entrance, man.
Don't show off.
Great
and I'm like,
entrance
dude,
there.
you are showing up. But yeah, that scene was like, what just happened?
Then of course we have the scene when they're escaping. Like Wolverine is escaping the mansion.
Yeah.
Uses his middle claw to hijack the car.
Yeah, that's basically Wolverine's version of Hot Wire. It's like,
It's like, oh my god, like it's such a shit because he never does that again.
I know. He didn't even do that in like another movie, in the solo movies.
No, which is such a shame.
Oh, yeah,
Totally
that reminds me
that.
of when Wolverine is in the car, but also Rogue, Iceman, and Pyro are riding in the car.
Oh.
And there's that one little scene where they turn on the radio and NSYNC is playing. I'm like,
no! That was freaking amazing.
Because NSYNC was popular at the time.
Oh my
like,
god,
no!
like, I loved that scene. So we need some music. Bye bye bye. Oh my god, that's fantastic. Nope. It's like, okay, I would have thought it would be really funny if like Wolverine, as soon as he heard that song, ripped the knob off so they couldn't turn the radio back on. It's like, I'm not risking it. I'm not doing it.
I'm not listening to that crap.
We are taking no more chances. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
but,
and again,
talked a lot about the scene inside the house with like Bobby's family.
And also the scene where they fight the cops.
Yeah,
it was like honestly, that's another one of the coolest scenes in this movie because like they show off their powers.
Yeah, it's definitely like, as you said before, Bobby's brother rats out the X-Men to the police.
What a jerk!
Now that is definitely reminiscent of the Nazi days of Germany, where if to gain political favors they would out those they knew,
really,
family members, friends to the Nazis, basically saying this how the Fuhrer will like me now, right? Oh yes, he will. And basically that's exactly what they do. They call the police on these people because they don't understand. He's so mad. And here's the thing, we don't even know why his brother is mad at Bobby. Is he mad because he came out? Is that why? I mean,
could be.
Yeah,
but it's never really explained.
But like, we never understand because like maybe if like we had one scene before he calls the cops, like basically Bobby runs after his brother and says, "What's wrong? You couldn't have trusted me with this. I'm your brother. You said you loved me. Why didn't you tell me any of this?"
God,
don't feel bad. I didn't tell anybody. I mean, and it's just like, that's like Shark Tale crap.
It's like BS, you did not just
I didn't
say
tell
that.
anybody. It's like, he feels so hurt, slams the door in his face and just calls the cops. See, that's all you needed. Just 2 minutes. And
yeah, but why compare it to Shark Tale?
Well, I mean, it's like, like as Oscar says the line, "I lied to everybody."
Oh yeah, because everybody thinks you slayed the shark. We'll save our own thoughts for Shark Tale when we get to
the DreamWorks
Shark Tale is
Pixar
an interesting
movies.
DreamWorks movie.
But it's awful. But then again, we got these movies right here where we learn where like everybody is. Like once everybody reconvenes, we get inside the jet with Storm, Jean, and Magneto.
Yeah,
and then,
Magneto saving the jet,
which is pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah, not gonna lie, it's like, you gotta be kidding me. Then like Magneto actually like helps them along because this was not his original plan. They like lead up to the build up of going inside the base. The fights inside the base is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was great.
Not gonna lie, those are actually some of my favorite parts of the movie. Was actually in there. Wolverine confronting his past, having those great fight scenes with Jean and Cyclops and all that. I really do feel bad for Professor X though, having to spend most of the movie locked inside a machine.
Yeah, but hey, the Professor's got to be a way to let the X-Men play.
Yep, basically, so they do the thing and they defeat the day as they did in the recap.
And then Jean dies.
Yeah, so basically we're going into the end of the movie. They have to get away, right? And what they have to do to get away is the jet will not take off fast enough. They're like not going to be able to get altitude fast enough before the floodwaters get here. it's very clear there are many more chances that they could have gotten away other than Jean leaving because apparently the story can't be good unless she dies for some reason.
Yeah, what?
Because, like, believe it or not, okay, when like we were watching the animated show, I thought that she wasn't going to contribute much because of all my exposure to these movies. But the fact of the matter is, the longer she was there, the better the story was.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking to myself, woman, you are barely anything. You barely have any recollection on most of what's happening. But darn, do you make this family work.
Yeah,
I absolutely love
surprisingly.
you. It's exactly what I keep saying. Every family needs a mother. Some kind of mother of some kind.
And she has a weird way of showing it, but whatever.
And she saved her friends and family. She lifted them up into the air, and how, you know, she was like crying, is like, this is the only way. It's like, oh no, I feel so sad. You can easily just get back in, but no, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Okay. So then she gets washed away by the water, and then like they go back to the mansion, and they like mourn for her.
Of course.
And then okay, but before we close up with our final thoughts, we have to talk about the scene where the X-Men go into the White House and basically
That scene was awesome.
Scared the hell out of the president.
Like, could you imagine if one of the presidents today, like, so was like, "Jeez, what are you doing in here?"
And they actually do the right thing with that. They actually tell him up to his face. The peacekeepers of the entire world go up to the president and says, they're actually doing it because Jean is gone. They lost one of their friends because somebody the president trusted very much lost their mind with power. What you have to do is...
because like they say, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly. Change has to happen, because if it doesn't, innocent souls will die. Innocent blood that will be on your hands. History must not be repeated, because we cannot move forward if we're always stuck in the same place.
Yeah, and
love that.
Yeah, and when Professor X says, like, "We're here to stay, Mr. President," it's like, yeah, you know.
That's absolutely great. It's like, I love, because every single moment in this shows that the humans consider the mutants a problem, like they did in the first movie.
Yeah.
Showing them as this. Showing that they are a problem to be solved, an insect to be squashed and exterminated. But they showed that they are here to stay. You can build your armies, build your facilities, find your serums and your war machines, but you cannot eliminate what's living inside you and among you all the time.
Yeah, and this was 9 years before the Avengers.
Which is, it's fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta say, so then we go back to the school, everybody's sad that Jean dies, and now we gotta move on for like 3 years or something.
Yeah.
But then like the movie ends with a shot of a phoenix flying in the water. It's like, okay, it's weird, but like it's still awesome all the way through. So now time for our final thoughts.
Yeah, Mike, how would you put your final thoughts? How would you summarize up your thoughts of this movie?
Oh my god. So basically, when first going through these movies so many gosh darn years ago, I really did not think much of the X-Men except colorful characters from Marvel. But then sitting through all 13 of these movies for the very first time, seeing just how much of an impact they have on society 40, 50, nearly 60 years later in a few years.
Yeah.
I would definitely have to say that no matter what time period the X-Men are featured in, they will always be a crusading force for good against the discriminated and prejudiced, oppressed and suppressed by any power of any kind. This movie has a very well formatted cast, a very decently made script. I wish they shuffled a few things around. Very good action sequences, a storyline that I can follow from beginning to end, even if it is a tad bit too long.
Okay.
They could have cut some stuff out and put a few things back in. I definitely arguing say as a second film to an already amazing movie, this is an amazing follow-up, all things considered.
Yeah,
So-
I have to agree, because I'll say this now. In terms of just the original trilogy of X-Men films, the first three, this is honestly the best one. Because it took what worked in the first film, got rid of some of the stuff that didn't work. They managed to round out they managed to work around the bits and pieces of the edges of some parts of the characters that didn't work. They smoothed them out and made it a little better. And they improved on stuff like the action, the special effects. Because the first film, it was just an experiment. It was a fluke. Then it turned out to be so popular, this happened, and this movie thrived, and it turned out to be one of the best, not just X-Men movies, but one of the best superhero movies that still holds up to this day.
Like
18 years later, it's still an awesome movie to watch.
It's definitely the best one of the two first movies of the 13 we've seen so far.
To be fair, though, it's not perfect. It's
No.
it's a good movie,
Yeah.
but not every movie is perfect.
No.
Because, like, Lady Deathstrike, I wish there was more of her. There's some stuff about Professor X that should have been there a little bit more. Some cut stuff maybe should have gotten there. But other than that, like, that's really it. Those are my only main problems. Other than that,
Yeah.
it's a solid follow-up to the original 2000 film. Because if you love the X-Men and you want to see more of them, this is the movie for you because it adapts well from iconic X-Men stories from the comics. And again, it had, like, the actors have really evolved a little bit since the first film. And it shows that this is like one of the better X-Men films.
Indeed it was.
Yeah, so altogether, rating it wise, in my opinion, honestly, I have to give X2, X-Men United, it's a little high. Despite the problems, I still think it's a good high rating. I give it like a 9 out of 10.
Dang, that is really good, my friend. Fantastic.
Mike, what about you?
Now, me, as I was saying, just giving all of my final thoughts on the movie. Stellar cast, incredible action scenes, a little bit of a rushed and crammed, not really well thought out story, but still a great one nonetheless. Impressive CGI, especially with some scenes, the practical effects with the makeup and such on Nightcrawler and Mystique. Last fun fact of all this, sometimes Nightcrawler's tail was CG, sometimes it was actually real, it was made out of rubber.
Really?
Which is actually pretty fun.
Huh.
So I love films with practical effects more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I definitely say this movie is one that any fan of the X-Men, Marvel, or superheroes in general can learn of for basically anything. If you want to continue learning the great themes about prejudice and fighting the evils of this world from the first X-Men movie, watch this one and have a very great time. It may be overrated, but I think it is truly amazing.
Mm-hmm.
As such, I will give Bryan Singer's 2003 film, X-Men 2, X-Men United, a letter B+ ranking.
B+, not bad. Talk about a complete 180. Now, we don't think the first film is bad. It still has its moments. It's still a good film.
It's amazing.
But this is just such an improvement. It's almost like a 180.
Exactly. It just has to be a leap forward. But maybe the next one won't be as much of a leap forward. But we won't get to the third X-Men film for many weeks now, because our next episode we'll be going back to Batman the Animated Series. Slightly fewer episodes than usual, but of course I'm pretty sure you guys will.
And then the next film
that's
after
good.
that
is 2016's Zack Snyder's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
we have stuff to talk about that, and you're gonna hear it first, folks. But that'll do it for tonight's episode of Behind the Screens. Until the next time, I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
And we hope you guys have a safe night. And take care.
Take care, my friends. Adios.